Welcome, lovely people, to Laurel and Artistry, as well as part 4 of my U.S. Presidents series. Starting off with Abraham Lincoln, who served from 1861 to his untimely death in 1865. Our 16th president, he was also the tallest at 6'4". Other than that, I can't think of anything else notable about him. Well, I guess there's also the fact that he's known for wearing really high top hats, which I could not fit fully into the frame. But that's about it. There's nothing else to say about him. Yep. Okay, but really, we all know he's one of the most well-known leaders of the country and presided over the American Civil War. If you were one of those few people who watched my previous video in this series, you'll have seen how I recounted the division spreading in the country and the futility of the efforts to quell rising tensions. Whilst there is some nuance in the splintering issues that caused the Civil War, it is quite inescapable to me that the heart of the rift was a single glaring issue: slavery. It had to go, but at this point the divide was just too great for any peaceful solution to the growing terror in the country. So, do you let it fall apart entirely, or do you fight to keep it together? Lincoln chose to fight. After all, he was elected to preserve the Union, and that is what he did. Was he perfect? No. Was this all without great loss? Certainly not. But in the end, he kept the tattered threads from being entirely severed. And then it was time to try and figure out how to stitch the country back together. Although, unfortunately, it would not be this man at the helm. That shocking assassination of Abraham Lincoln introduced President 17, Andrew Johnson. Serving from 1865 to 1869, he was left to try and work out the best path forward for reconciliation and reconstruction after the war. I am not going to go into all the minute details and complexity of it all, but as a Southern Democrat himself, there was great contention on this issue between him and the radical Republicans in Congress, which seems to be part of what led to him being the first president to be impeached by the House of Representatives, though he was ultimately acquitted by the Senate. Personally, I think he should have been impeached for that haircut. I don't have much more to add on him, but his presidency was not the smoothest. It's hard not to wonder what would have gone differently had Lincoln lived. Now for the 18th president, Ulysses S Grant. Serving from 1869 to 1877, the presidency of this former Union Army commanding general was unfortunately fraught with corruption inside his administration. Likely the fault of Grant being overly trusting and loyal, allowing opportunistic people to take advantage of that. With the heavy focus being on the scandals, I'd say a lot of things were accomplished during his presidency that can get overlooked. Of course, the focused Reconstruction efforts, enforcing civil rights legislation, combating the KKK, the passage of the 15th Amendment, settling some disputes with Britain, and establishing Yellowstone as a national park. And after his second term in office, Grant went on a world tour, which served to help strengthen the U.S. relationships with other countries and establish the country's prominence around the world. I think Grant was a rather sensitive soul, surprisingly soft-hearted and soft-spoken for someone known for his achievements in battle. He was great with horses, and he did not like hunting animals. He even refused to eat animals that walked on two legs. There is much more I could add about him, because I find him quite fascinating. It's just a shame that outside his military accomplishments, history tends to treat him as little more than an alcoholic, but only one away from his beloved wife. Rutherford B Hayes was the 19th president, serving from 1877 to 1881. another Republican, and another short guy, being 5'8.5", just half an inch taller than the previous president. Anyways, Rutherford won the presidency by a single electoral college vote. His presidency marked the end of the Reconstruction era in the South, but beyond that, it doesn't really get much focus. A few things he did were focus on civil service reform to try and combat corruption, sought peace in dealing with Native Americans, and greatly opposed paper money not backed by the gold standard. He was a kind and friendly guy, humble and very fond of people. He did not seek re-election for a second term, and thus the 20th president, James A. Garfield. Yet another James, the fifth one, and also the third president in a row to be a bearded Republican from Ohio. But also, unfortunately, the second president to be assassinated, being in office from March 1881 to September of the same year. Garfield was an intelligent man who was a gifted and convincing speaker. He seemed a good leader with a great ability for navigating politics and striking compromise. Who can say what his presidency could have achieved? But he was certainly a promising figure. And from some of his pictures, he also seemed quite stylish. He certainly knew how to look great in a hat. And with that, let's take a final look at my 5 latest presidential drawings.
In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
Thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll join me for the rest of my series, as well as check out other videos I have as well. In the meantime, remember, being from Ohio is a good way to up your chances of becoming president, although we haven't had a president from there for like 100 years, so do with that as you will.